Good morning, kids. I miss you all so much, and I hate that I didn't get to say a proper goodbye to you all, and I hate that I'm not able to do this lesson with you all in person, but we're going to do a short little review today, and I know that we're at home, but that still means that we can learn virtually, and that still means we can do a really good job at it too. So today, we're going to have fun learning about story elements. So I want you to think about a fiction story for a moment. Do you know that fiction stories, all have something in them called elements? Elements make up a story. They make a story come to life. These elements are essential, which means a story has to have them. So today, let's go over the 5 story elements. So there are characters, setting, plot, conflict, and solution. Those are the 5 elements, essential elements of a story. A fiction story can be a large term that has several different parts inside of it. These different parts are called characters, setting, plot, conflict, and solution. These are the 5 essential parts that we're going to talk about today. They make up a story and can help us understand a story a little bit deeply now that we know the name for each part of a story. So the first part of a story we're going to talk about are characters. These are the people or animals in a story. These are one of the most important elements of a fiction story. So a character can be a nurse, a dog, or even a superhero like Superman. Not everything in a story is a character though, so let's talk about when we know a person or creature is a character. For something to be a character in a story, the character thinks, feels, or acts. So let's imagine a story about a boy and his teddy bear. We know the boy thinks, feels, or acts because he's a person. So of course he's a character. If his teddy bear is just a regular toy, then it's not a character. But if the story says the teddy bear can think, feel, move, or even talk, then it could be a character in the story. So remember, when we're classifying characters, ask yourself the question, can they think, can they feel, and can they act? And that's how you determine if a person or a creature or something in a story is a character. So, next is setting. So let's practice. Can you figure out the definition of setting from these examples? The setting could be a hot summer day at the beach in July, or a hike in the mountaintops, or even a faraway foreign land. So what do you think the definition of setting is? Pause the video and come up with an answer, and I'll be here waiting. I wish I could hear all of your creative answers about setting, but we're going to jump into it really quickly. So setting is the time and place a story takes place in. It could be in the past or the future, in the morning or at night, or even the winter or the summer. A story setting can also be at school, a city, or a jungle. Can you think of some adjectives that describe a setting in a jungle? What can you think of? I want you to pause the video and think of some adjectives. Some adjectives I thought of would be hot, humid, and rainy. These adjectives help the setting come to life in your mind. You can also determine the setting by looking at any illustrations in the text or using my favorite, text evidence. So here's an example of determining setting from text evidence. I saw a dog chasing a butterfly in the park on a warm day. How would you describe this setting? The text tells you that I'm in a park, it's warm, and it's daytime. Looking at the illustration, we see blue sky, flowers, and butterflies. I think it might be springtime, don't you think? We could describe the setting as a warm spring day in the park. We've talked a lot about characters and settings, but without something called a plot, you cannot have characters or setting. A plot is the action, a series of events that make up a story, or the driving force that propels the story forward. The plot usually makes you want to keep reading because you want to know what happens. It's exciting. It's the action in the story. So let's look at this example. 4 men on a boat at sea are rowing and hoping they can stay afloat. They have to make it to the beach. So I want you to pause this video really quickly, and I want you to think what you think. I want you to determine what you think the plot might be, and I'll be here waiting. So I hope you've had some time to think about maybe and determine what you think the plot is here. In this example of plot, we have a series of events taking place that are propelling the story forward. Will they make it to shore? Remember, plot can be action. This action makes you want to continue reading. We want to know, will they make it to the shore? Another element that is essential to a story is conflict. Conflict is a part of the story that presents a problem. This problem may be happening to the characters or happening in a larger scale. Think of problems and solutions. Conflict creates a struggle in a story that the characters must overcome. And usually we travel along with the character to overcome this problem with them. So let's look at an example of what conflict could be. Remember the 4 men that have to make it to the beach? Here's some conflict to add to the plot. The waves are big and the shore seems out of reach. Conflict intrigues the reader. It makes them interested. However, it can come in different ways besides drama. It can be an inner conflict or struggle of a character. Maybe they struggle with forgiveness or honesty. All of these things can be conflict in a story. What do you think it's called when a story or character overcomes a conflict? Think about that for a minute. What do you think that would be? So let's find out. So our final element of a story is solution. Solution is the ending of a story, the solution to the problem or conflict that was presented in the story that the character had to overcome. This is a way of tying up loose ends with a bow, so to speak. The resolution takes the conflict and turns it around in a meaningful way that makes the conflict worth it. So let's look at an example. Our example story finally has a solution. The 4 men made it to the beach. Despite the conflict of the waves and the shore, they made it to the beach safely. However, with all their strength, they finally made it to the beach. That was our solution to the conflict that they had. So let's review what we've learned. Characters are people or creatures that can think, feel, or act. Setting is the time or place in which a story takes place. Plot is the events in a story. Conflict is the part of the story where a problem that needs a solution arises. And finally, solution is the solution to the conflict. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to me. Next time we'll talk more about story elements. I wish I was able to see you all in person. I miss you all so much. Have a wonderful time with your family and continue to learn as much as you can. And I hope to see you all soon.